What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and a couple of weeks ago, we did an experiment here on Comics Explained to see how you guys would respond to the idea of us just kind of making up our own what-if stories on the channel. And so we did a story about what would happen if the Hulk got a Red Lantern ring. And the feedback that I've gotten from that is insane. You guys absolutely love that idea. Like, it's crazy how popular that video is. And so what this tells me is that you guys want more what-if stories. So since last time we had a Marvel character getting a power that came from the DC universe, today we're going to switch it up and bestow a power from the Marvel universe on a DC character, asking the question, what if the Venom symbiote bonded with Batman? Now, after that, we're going to do a little more experimentation, just to, again, to kind of see how you guys respond to it. Last time we did a video explaining how the Red Lantern Hulk would be defeated, and then we did a separate video explaining how to kill the Red Lantern Hulk. This week, we're going to roll them together. We're going to do a video, in this video, we're going to do a discussion on what would happen if Batman became Venom, and then we're going to answer the question of how we could kill him, which is going to be kind of tough to do because we already did a video on how to kill Batman. But before we get into that actual story, we have to go over what Batman with the Venom symbiote would actually be able to do. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking and going over Batman. He's Batman. All right. If you know anything about comics, if you're watching this video, if you wake up in the morning and are still alive, then you know who Batman is. Batman, you'd have to leave the planet Earth to find someone who wouldn't know who Batman is. And even then, there's no guarantee. I guarantee some alien race out there is probably watching those old Adam West Batman episodes. I can guarantee that's happening. He's a crime-fighting vigilante that's stupid rich and uses his martial arts prowess an endless supply of bleeding-edge technology to beat up bad guys. That's Batman. What we really want to focus on here is the Venom symbiote because its history and abilities are a bit more complicated. So, the Venom symbiote is actually a member of an alien race known as the Clintar that is bonded with various hosts throughout its history, most notably Peter Parker, Eddie Brock, and Flash Thompson. Now, once it bonds with an individual, the symbiote confers on that person a plethora of powers, foremost among these being superhuman strength, durability, and stamina, as well as a regenerative healing factor that's been shown to be powerful enough to heal the host after being impaled or even after having their head sliced in two. Now, the symbiote also allows the host to recall the memories of its previous host and is also able to reproduce some of their superhuman abilities. So because the symbiote has previously bonded with Spider-Man, subsequent hosts would be able to crawl on walls just like Spider-Man can, and the host can also shoot a webbing of sorts, although it is quite a little bit different from Spider-Man's web-slinging ability in that the webs Venom slings seems to be part of the symbiote itself. So if too many webs are created, the symbiote will simply just be weakened until it can replenish itself. Now, the symbiote can also mimic Spider-Man's spider sense to warn its host of impending danger and can manipulate itself into camouflage capable of disguising its host. Now, of course, this is also compounded by the fact that Eddie Brock actually trained the symbiote to develop a set of poisonous fangs capable of paralyzing and possibly even killing its host. Furthermore, the symbiote can morph parts of the host's body into other objects. For instance, after the symbiote bonded with a man named Matt Gargan, better known as the Spider-Man villain the Scorpion, the symbiote was able to create a tail in order to mimic Matt Gargan's Scorpion costume. Similarly, the symbiote can also increase the size of its host, which extends the level of the host's superhuman strength even further beyond the 70 tons that they can already lift at normal human size while they're in possession of the Venom symbiote. So, if Batman were to become Venom, he would have access to all of these powers in addition to his amazing combat skills, detective skills, and enormous arsenal of technology and weaponry, and here is how I think all of it would go down. So, we open on a crash site where an alien vessel has crash landed on Earth. I love doing these things. The site is surrounded by Argus agents, Advanced Research Group Uniting Superhumans. For those of you guys who don't know, they're basically a branch of the government that works alongside superheroes, as well as the Justice League members, Batman and Superman. Now, of course, everyone seems to be at a loss. However, as the spaceship appears to have simply been unmanned. Now, while discussing how unusual this is, Batman and Superman receive a call that their services are needed elsewhere as there's been an attack on Coast City by Black Manta and King Shark. I don't know. For whatever reason, they have to go. Anyway, the head of Argus, Amanda Waller, tells them to leave and deal with the problem and that she'll contact them later if anything turns up at the crash site. And so they end up leaving, but by the time they arrive at Coast City, they find the rest of the Justice League has been able to defeat and apprehend the villain. So with everything seemingly dealt with for the time being, and with the situation here resolved and no word from Amanda Waller regarding the crash site, everybody just goes home. So we pick up the next day with Batman in in the Batcave, where he remarks to Alfred that he still hasn't heard any word of the strange unmanned spacecraft, so instead of just sitting around and waiting, he decides to go on patrol and beat up some bad guys to pass the time, because that's what you do when you're Batman. So, since he's in Gotham, it doesn't take him long to run into some criminals trying to rob a guy at gunpoint. Batman leaps into action, takes out one of the crooks, but one of the others fires a shot at him. Now, Batman, clad as usual in bulletproof armor, thinks nothing of it. He's been hit by bullets before, but he's shocked to see a stream of black goo rise up to absorb the bullet. Clearly confused, Batman hesitates a moment, and one of the other thugs lunges at him with a knife. The black goo blocks his blow as well, and before long has engulfed Batman's entire body. Empowered by the symbiote, Batman involuntarily starts laying waste to every last one of these guys, and before long, they're all laying at the ground at his feet. Now, as quickly as it had covered him, the symbiote recedes, leaving Batman to survey the damage. And of course, because it's a Batman comic, he's relieved to see that the crooks are badly beaten, but they're not dead. Still reeling from what has happened, Batman leaves their unconscious bodies for the police and returns to the Batcave. Now, once back in the cave, Batman runs a full body scan on himself, which picks up some sort of foreign matter that the computer cannot identify. Desperate to coax the symbiote back out, he convinces Alfred to fire a gun loaded with rubber bullets at him. When Alfred fires the shot, the symbiote emerges again just as expected. What Batman had not expected, however, was to hear an unfamiliar voice in his head ask, "Why do you wish to harm us, Bruce Wayne?" A conversation between Batman and the symbiote ensues, with the symbiote explaining that the two of them are now bonded and have been since the symbiote first encountered Batman after his ship had crash landed on the planet, and that he can make Batman stronger than he could have ever been on his own, and can help him achieve his goals of ridding Gotham City of crime, and can even help him do what he's always been unable to do for years: finally stop the Joker for good. Now, Batman is faced with the decision of either telling Waller and the rest of the Justice League about the symbiote or keeping it for himself and learning to harness his strength to aid him in his mission. And because Batman is all about keeping secrets from his allies, he naturally decides to keep the symbiote for himself. So, for a while, we see Batman just like destroying criminals and learning to use the symbiote in new ways. It becomes more effective than any armor that he's ever had. He's able to take out his opponents from afar without even needing to engage in hand-to-hand combat with them, and everything is simply going amazing. Crime's down in Gotham, he's able to fight without it taking a huge toll on him physically. Everything is pretty cool, up until it's not. So naturally, Superman eventually finds out what's going on and confronts Batman about it. Batman, of course, tells him to mind his own damn business and that he's simply doing what's best for his city and that he is in full control. Superman comments that they don't know where the thing came from, what it's capable of, or what its mission is. Furthermore, he's concerned about how increasingly violent Batman is getting. Batman again tells Superman to shove off and that the symbiote wants the same thing that he wants, to rid Gotham City of crime. Unconvinced, Superman leaves, warns Batman that he'll be watching, and vows to figure out the origin and nature of the symbiote. Now, everything comes to a head following a mass breakout from like Blackgate Prison. Arkham Asylum seemed a little too extreme. I kind of figured like Blackgate Prison would be a little more reasonable, but Batman arrives on the scene and of course thrashes most of the escaping prisoners with ease with the help of the symbiote until he comes face to face with none other than Joe Chill, the man who murdered his parents. Now, Batman begins to feel rage overcoming him, which is not only coming from his own psyche, but is being exacerbated by the symbiote. And what happens is that this rage keeps building and building until Batman snaps and actually kills Joe Chill. So this is the tipping point for pretty much everyone. Batman's been getting increasingly violent in the way he deals with enemies, but up to this point, he had never killed anyone. And so after this, Batman begins to spiral further and further out of control, kills more and more prisoners, and eventually the Justice League is called to the scene. Interestingly, Superman is not there, but there are two additional members that have been called in, Firestorm and Black Canary. Now, this would seem odd to readers, but it's actually revealed in the story that Superman is actually off-world, seeking out answers as to the origin of the ship that crashed and the symbiote that it carried. But in all honesty, I mean, we're kind of making up the story, right? So, I mean, let's be honest. Superman could beat up Batman even with the Venom symbiote. So Superman coming in and just taking out Batman does not make for a very interesting story. Now, as for why Black Canary and Firestorm are here, we learn that Superman had actually been contacted by Alfred Pennyworth, who had himself become concerned with the direction that he saw Bruce Wayne going in. Alfred tells Superman that he's watched the experiments Bruce has run on the symbiote and divulges that the Venom symbiote has two observable weaknesses, fire and sound. And so Superman puts in a call to Firestorm and Black Canary to be on standby should Batman go crazy when they're needed, which now is pretty much basically when that's happened. So what we're going to have here is pretty much complete chaos. Some of the Justice League are assisting Gotham City Police in trying to round up the escaping prisoners. And when I say some of the Justice League, I mean the ones who don't matter. And the rest are taking on the Venom-controlled Batman that's basically on a killing spree. However, now that the Justice League knows the symbiote's weaknesses, they're able to use Black Canary's ability to produce an ultrasonic scream, as well as Firestorm's pyrokinesis to force the symbiote to separate from Batman. Then, of course, they would have to contain the symbiote as well as get Batman out of the hands of these prisoners before they can basically kill him in his weakened state, resulting from just having the symbiote traumatically ripped away from his physical body. And then the story ends with the symbiote in containment, Bruce Wayne just kind of moping around because he allowed himself to cross a line that he vowed never to cross, yada yada yada. Superman's trying really hard to not say like I told you so, but we're basically in a spot where like the day is saved, you know, Batman's defeated, and that's really the end of that. But Rob Core, what if we wanted to kill him? What if we wanted to kill Batman with the Venom symbiote? Now, by virtue of the ending of the story, we know that the Justice League left Batman alive. And honestly, it was really just because of the fact that he's a founding member. He's considered to be an ally by all of them and a friend to some. But say that we had a more nefarious group, one that wanted to actually kill Batman. How would they do it? Well, as a concept, it's pretty simple. The Venom symbiote has very exploitable weaknesses to fire and sound. It gives its host awesome abilities, but it is by no means invincible. So any villain with like fire abilities, Heatwave or D-list Batman villain Firefly, for example, or ones that use sound powers, probably like an F-list Superman villain Silver Banshee, would probably be able to cause some serious damage to the symbiote and could probably get the symbiote to separate from Batman, and then we just have to kill Bruce Wayne in his normal form. That, of course, is one of those things that sounds easier than it actually really is, since no one has been able to kill Batman yet, with the exception of Darkseid, and he wasn't even dead, he was just time displaced. And so theoretically, Bruce Wayne can be killed in any conventional way, which we discussed at length when we did our video on how to kill Batman. And of course, this is all contingent on the Venomized Batman not killing these guys first, which is extremely likely. So conceptually, finding a way to kill a Venomized Batman is pretty easy, but the practicality of doing so would be a bit more challenging. But with that being said, guys, we are going to bring this video to an end. I love this idea of combining like the how to kill superheroes and the what if stories into the same thing. I wouldn't really say this one would be like the standard because we've already killed Batman. So I mean, we'd really just be rehashing what we'd already talked about. I think it might be a better idea to try with something different. Maybe we should give like Yoda the Speed Force. No, we should give Juggernaut the Speed Force. That's what we're gonna do. In the next video, we're giving Juggernaut Speed Force powers. The Juggernaut is going to become the Flash. Oh God, that's gonna be crazy. No, we already did a video on how to kill Juggernaut. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do Darth Vader with a Red Lantern ring. Yeah, America. We're gonna do Darth Vader with a Red Lantern ring. Oh my God, that's gonna be insane. Imagine that, Darth Vader with a Red Lantern ring. Dude, that's gonna be absolutely bonkers. Like he's gonna have this, dude, can you imagine that? Imagine what that looks like. Darth Vader with like a Red Lantern ring that's like glowing red and like a Sith lightsaber. It'd be the most badass thing ever in the history of anything that's ever existed. Anyway, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end and I will catch you all later. Peace. Today's video is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Are you sick of choosing between overpriced razors and low-quality plastic disposables? Well, Dollar Shave Club has your solution. Their razors provide a high-quality, close shave for the price of a disposable. DollarShaveClub.com delivers amazing razors right to my door for a fraction of the price that I used to pay. Seriously, I have no reason to deal with the drugstore hassle and battle the locked-up razor fortress ever again, and neither will you when you join the club. Just go to dollarshaveclub.com/comics explained and get a 1-month membership of any razor for $1. Free shipping, no commitments, cancel anytime. With Dollar Shave Club, you can look, smell, and shave like $1,000,000 without paying for it. And here's your chance to discover why millions and millions of members like me love Dollar Shave Club. Just go to dollarshaveclub.com/comics explained and get a 1-month membership of any razor for $1. Free shipping, no commitments, cancel anytime.